Looking for a Chevy car, truck, or SUV? Go see my friends at Apple Chevy in Tinley Park. With over 500 new and used vehicles in stock, they have what you're looking for and at the lowest price possible. Go to applechevy.com.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
See what we're doing there with that.
I like it.
They're always thinking back there in the control room.
Are we going to be talking about dogs? Perfect song.
All right, now there's a very interesting case that is winding its way through the courts in Georgia. It was heard today by the Supreme Court of the state of Georgia. It's about a little dog named Lola, a hound of questionable pedigree, says the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Pedigree.
Well, because
it's a mixed breed.
It's a mix, yeah.
It's a little mutt.
Beautiful dog.
Cute
Dachshund is an 8-year-old. Unfortunately, passed away due to renal failure, and the owners allege that a dog kennel in Atlanta, which is a very busy, popular dog kennel down there, gave Lola the wrong medication and
so
ultimately
sad,
led to her death, led to kidney failure as a result of that.
I think that's so sad. You drop your dog off and wow.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the greatest fear of any dog owner, right?
Right.
But now this filing before the Georgia Supreme Court is arguing that what is the value of a dog? This is the argument, is what is the value of a dog? Is a dog simply property, and therefore the owners can only recoup the market value of the property at the time of its disruption or destruction, right? So the way you would do, a
toaster. The owners used that analogy. They said their position is that the dog is like a toaster. When you break it, you throw it away and you get a new one. She agrees that a dog is property, but she's saying it's a very different kind of property.
And so what this family is doing is they are seeking $67,000 of veterinary and related expenses, including this dog had been on regular dialysis treatment, which is why the wrong medication ended up being fatal. And now Matthew Liebman is with us, and Matthew he's a senior attorney for the ALDF, which is the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And now you guys filed a brief in this case, and what was your argument?
We did, and our position in this case was that it's incredibly disingenuous for a boarding facility that on its own website says your dog is a member of our family to turn around and say, no, actually the dog is a worthless piece of property. And, if it's true that they caused this harm to this dog and this family had to spend almost $70,000 to try to nurse her back to health, that the person who should pay those bills is the facility that caused the harm.
But that's the interesting part here, I thought. If they've spent $70,000 on veterinary bills, how can you say the dog is worth nothing? I mean, or that,
exactly.
Well, but
the industry that certainly benefits from it.
Right. I guess the argument would be made similarly of an automobile, and I just hear me out here for a second. If you had a car, I know, because I'm a dog lover. I mean, I consider dogs to be a part of the family, and to be something that and they are they go beyond. People don't. If you torture a dog or you kill a dog intentionally in a cruel way, I mean, it's a crime, right? I mean, there are different.
Michael Vick went to prison for it.
Right. I mean, this is
It's not like smashing a toaster.
They have a special place, but I think that what we deal with here is the law of unintended consequences. And if you look at an automobile, and let's say you have a car that's you paid $500 for, right? But you dump $10,000 worth of repair bills into, and then you take it to a place, and then they break it irreparably. Do you get the $500 or do you get $10,500? That's an argument that would be a loser in court. The problem here is that if you do this, does it change the business of dog breeding, vets, kennels, places like that would then have to carry insurance to cover this, and then change their business models, which could be really, really, really bad?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern is a good one, and the example of the car. We have reasonable rules about how much you should fix something, but pets are different, and there was a poll just last year, Harris poll, that found that 95% of pet owners considered their pets to be members of the family. And I think if you took a poll about whether cars are members of the family, you'd get a much different number. And so certainly animals are a unique kind of property, and that merits different kinds of rules. And one of the ways that courts have been dealing with this is to limit those veterinary expenses to things that are reasonable and necessary. So you can't get extravagant and get pet manicures as a form of veterinary care, but as long as it's something that's necessary to save the life of the animal, then that's something that most courts actually have said is something that should be compensated. And in terms of unintended consequences and increased insurance rates, the industries have said that that's a concern. But if you look at the rates that veterinarians pay versus medical doctors, it's a whole world of difference, and those rates are already extremely low.
But also cases like this are fairly rare as well, right? I mean, by comparison to medical malpractice. So, I mean,
right.
there is the swelling of these kinds of cases will raise the rates without question. And to my what my fear here is that, you've got a very, very very different than it was 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. You have this abundance of no-kill shelters, which operate on the concept, and there's a great one. Paws here in Chicago is a great one, where
wonderful organization.
They take these animals in and they rehabilitate them, and they get them because of the way that they market and because of the relative ease and lack of expense of being able to adopt out of a place like that. Then they're able to keep those dogs and cats alive and put them into homes that really want them, and it's a better experience for all the breathing, living things in that equation, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is if all of a sudden it becomes more expensive to do that, because pets become, if you have to make a decision about cost in a family, especially in leaner economic times, will there be more euthanasia? Will there be more trouble with these animals that won't be able to find a place? It'll just be easier to euthanize them, to kill them, than it will be to put them through a process that could be costly. That's what really worries me. And then it ends up being there's more pain and suffering.
Yeah, I don't think these kinds of rules allowing compensation for emotional connections to animals or values that exceed market value is going to have any effect at all on shelters or rescue organizations. Most of those are ones that we work very closely with in our other litigation, and they tend to be very much in favor of having a social recognition of the kind of bonds we have with animals.
But they're the ones that are. But those organizations are also, I've noticed, at least in the AJC story about this today, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, they're saying that those organizations are opposed to changing this law.
No, the organizations that are opposed to it are organizations like ones that support the grooming industry, so grooming and boarding, some veterinary offices, things like that. But in terms of shelters and rescue organizations, they don't tend to be on that side. And really it just comes down to the financial interest of the grooming industry, of the boarding industry, and parts of the vet industry that profit off of the fact that we value our animals the way that we do. But
what about like dog walkers?
Like
in an urban situation, dog walkers are critically important. And is a dog walker who's dog walkers don't make a ton of money, right? Are they going to have to carry some sort of insurance as a result of this?
I don't think so. I mean, the important thing to keep in mind is that these cases arise only when there's been either someone acting intentionally, like intentionally harming an animal, or incredibly negligently. So, in this case, Lola was given the wrong medicine. She was boarded with the Moniac's other dog, who was a big lab, and Lola being a little dachshund, when she got Lola's arthritis medicine, it basically was a series of 12 overdoses. So that kind of gross negligence is what we're focusing on here, and not sort of, run-of-the-mill accidents or, dog walkers or things like that.
I've seen good doctors, real doctors for humans, get driven out of practice because of medical malpractice going up. And I would hate to see, that drastically impact this field. But it feels as if a dog dies in your care and it's due to your own negligence, then, they should at least have to pay for the medical.
Animals shouldn't receive veterinary care. No one's going to look at a picture of that dachshund and say they should have just let her die. So someone's going to have to pay, and should it be the owners who, loved her so much, or the boarding facility that allegedly caused the harm? And it seems only fair that the person who caused the harm should be the one who foot the bill.
And Matthew Liebman, thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir.
It's such an interesting,
Yep, thanks for having me on.
an interesting topic of debate, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think that obviously he's an attorney advocating his position
sure.
here, but I think that there undoubtedly is a law of unintended consequences here. That the costs will go up,
Oh,
and
sure it will.
the lives of these animals, the quality of life of these animals, the duration of life of the animals, and animals that get caught in that dogs and cats that get caught in that middle ground of transitioning and adoption and things like that. It's going to be a very difficult situation.
You'd
for
hate
them.
to see that happen.
Yeah, but I
You
mean,
really would.
what choices do you have? If the cost goes up, because these are margins, right?
No, of course. They're already, the Paws does a wonderful job, but they have to hold lots of fundraisers in order to make their budget, make it work just to do what they do every year.
Right.